Conversations.
Welcome to another Cucalorus Conversations. I'm your host, Aaron Hillis. We're not going to do any more of that. But I am Aaron Hillis, curator, host, and board member of the Cucalorus Film Festival. I'm also excited to be talking to a fellow Cucalorus board member, but more importantly here, she is an actress and filmmaker, Lydia Hyslop, whose film Burnout, her first feature from 2013, will be playing at Jengo's on Friday, August 15th at 7:30 p.m. And I believe Lydia will be there too.
True.
How you doing, Lydia? What's shaking?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm just here I live in rural eastern North Carolina, and it is really, really hot. And my husband just took my son to go get a snowball. So I'm enjoying this quiet time to talk to you about burnout.
Oh, quiet time.
Hey,
I was gonna say they get snowballs, and you're just left talking to me. I think they get the better end of this deal, frankly.
quiet time is a mother's snowball.
Fair enough. Well, thanks so much for doing this. Let's talk a little bit about Burnout. So I saw Burnout back in 2013. In fact, I was even on a narrative features jury at the Oxford Film Festival that had given it the award of Best Narrative. It was really fun to see this again, like 12 years later. Uh, for those who haven't yet seen it, let's get them in the door. Let's get them to Django's on the 15th. What's Burnout all about, Lydia?
Okay, Burnout is about a young woman. She's having a quarter life crisis. She is a pot dealer, and Prop 19, which was the bill or the prop to legalize weed, is on the ballot. And so when I wrote this, it was 2009, 2010, and I was seeing, in every news article, every building had signs, Prop 19, and it was really controversial. And I just, I started thinking, I wonder how my drug dealer feels about all this. Um, so I kind of just took that and ran with it. But yeah, that was sort of like the catalyst for the story. And then it's just all about the shenanigans that happen in your late 20s in Los Angeles.
So when I first met you, I knew you primarily as an actor. I knew you from your work with Zach Clark. So let's talk about your superhero origin stories. How did you first get into film? How did you start acting? And at what point did you say, I'm ready to make a feature film?
So I started acting like in high school, but I'm from North Carolina. I'm from Greensboro, and I went to acting school at UNCG. And so the School of the Arts guys, all the filmmakers at School of the Arts, would cast their student films out of our acting department. And so it was this really neat relationship that we had, the two schools. And so when I was like 18, I got cast in my first student film. It was Aaron Katz's third year student film. And then I had this like string of films where I was like the ingenue of the moment for like 2 years. And I did like probably 10 student films, and everyone was like, be in my movie, be in my movie. And I was like, oh my gosh, like it's actually it's how I discovered that I love filmmaking and how I discovered that I love acting on film. I was sort of the black sheep, I felt like, in my theater school. Like I never got cast in the big roles, but suddenly all these film guys were putting me in their movies. So I peaked early. By the time I moved to LA, I was the road hard age of 22. And I actually moved in with Chad Hardigan and Sean McElwee and Keegan DeWitt and this guy named Trailer. Love him. M. Ryan Trailer. They're all filmmakers, still in the biz, and it was definitely like a sitcom. Like it was me and four guys in like a three-bedroom house. Like Chad lived in a closet, and he really paid too much rent for that closet.
Come a
Um,
knock on my door. It's like a Fours Company gender reversed sitcom waiting to happen for sure.
I mean, we had some wild times, but we were, it was really, it was like so lovely for a very finite amount of time because we were all so young and we were out there chasing our dream. And, we were loving it. And that's actually how I met Tara, who is the star of Burnout. She started coming around the house. She and Sean struck up a little relationship and they are still married to this day. So,
And that's
um,
for those who haven't seen, Tara stars in the film, and Sean was the cinematographer. So, yeah. So it sounds like you had a real friend crew around. How did all this accumulate into I'm ready to pull the trigger on a feature film?
So we had, like you said, a crew of like, we were like filmmaker homies. It was like actors and writers and filmmakers. And we started meeting as this sort of, I don't even remember if we like had a name for it, but one of the people had like rented, I think it was Chad's ex-girlfriend had rented like a theater space, like a black box theater. And so we would like bring stuff to workshop. And so I had been writing some scenes on the side. I was hustling like the Hollywood actress game and like hitting the pavement and I'd been in some indie films with Zach and Chad and it just felt like I was never like hitting what I wanted to be hitting with auditions or with getting an agent. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna write something for me. I think this is sort of like a tale as old as time at this point. But yeah, I felt like I had something to prove. And so I was like, I can write something for me. I can do this. And it felt really impossible to wrap my brain around like writing a feature film. So I just started writing scenes. And so I'd have scenes and I'd take them to the group, to the Black Box Theater, and I'd have people read the scenes, and I had no idea how it was going to go. And when we were reading the scenes in the little black box, people were laughing and people were like, "Oh, this is funny." And I'm like, "Should I keep writing?" And they're like, "Yeah." And I remember at one point Chad was like, "I've never seen a movie about, well, this might be a spoiler alert, but I've never seen a movie about fookers, which is what we like to call foot hookers." Back then, look, we are living in like a time where foot fetishism is normalized, but like back then, okay, this was like subversive. This was like unheard of. Now
I
it's
don't, I
like
don't know if this was so much a spoiler alert, so much as a way to entice you. If you get to see this quarter life crisis movie about a young pot dealer learning to figure out her life after the decriminalization of weed, there are, in fact, foot hookers. It's a foot fetish. I mean, the joke is that it's technically sex work, except for there are no penises in play. But
true.
let's get into it. Let's talk about foot
Yeah.
fetishes and how this sequence and these jokes made it into the movie.
Yes. So, I will go ahead and tell you most of what I write is based on lived experience. Um, so, when I was 22, living with those guys, I answered a Craigslist ad that was like part-time work in a film studio. And I was like, this sounds great. So I go to the interview. It's like in the warehouse district downtown. Again, like now the warehouse district is very cool downtown LA, but like 20 years ago, it was not. Like it was sketch. So there was this giant film studio called, well, yeah, I think they're defunct. I can say it. It was called Entertainium. Already I should have sensed the red flags, but I was 22. So I go to this interview and they're like, yeah, so we're a film studio. We've got all these standing sets. There's a classroom set, there's a jail set, there's a doctor's office set, there's a nightclub set. There's like all these standing sets ready to go. We rent them out to a lot of porn, but sometimes other stuff. And and on the weekends, it's a swingers club. So on the
Okay.
weekend, so your hours will be like part-time, you'll be giving people tours of the studio that are scouting locations, and then the other time you're going to try to recruit people on these swingers forums online to come to these sex parties, and then you'll be like the door girl at the sex party. So, so all of this, I was like, wow, wow, what? Okay, this seems like a great job. I'll take it. Uh, I don't know what that says about me, other than I was very ambitious.
Well, I'll say this. Another thing that I thought about while watching the movie now is in 12 years, this is you could feel the heartfelt story. You could feel your own personal frustrations being filtered through this character. Although I will also say the character that you play in the movie as her rock and roll roommate and front person for The Tits, a great band name.
Thank you.
It really does feel like almost quaint compared to how hard the hustle is today. And, even forgetting about the socio-political turmoil that we're in, I think about like the gig economy and all the horrible situations, of UPS drivers have to pee in bottles in their truck, and just that kind of exploitation. Nothing really changes, so it's almost quaint to be a fooker because at least it's consensual, it's not the same kind of exploitation that happens in capitalism today. I feel like all those things really made the jokes pop because it's like, yeah, that's you got to pay rent somehow.
That's pretty much it in a nutshell. And everything was consensual. Like even though the place I worked for was ultimately horrible, that has nothing to do with the fooking. The fooking was actually quite lovely. And I made so much money in one night. And
Great
and I
living if you
I
can get it.
I was a one night only fooker. I only fooked for one night, but it was worth it. You got to pay those bills. And yeah, the two characters they really are it was me split in two. It was like me taking the party crazy, like woo, drunk crazy girl side of me, and then the like morning after sensitive, distraught, emotional side of me, and just splitting them into two characters. So
Well, it's very funny, and I really loved, even though it is largely about Terra Despain's character Ada, and your role is a very strong supporting role. There's such an incredible eclectic cast of characters. I'm looking even here at this bearded gentleman. Could you talk about some of the players and interesting, colorful characters who people will see in the movie?
yes. So that guy, Jim Hayes, he was just so we did all the casting ourselves, first of all. One thing I learned, and this is like my only thing I learned from this movie, because I definitely had a mental breakdown after I made it.
Oh.
Um, the main takeaway for me here is don't try to do everything yourself. Don't. Like we had no money. We had like no money. We had $20,000 and we made this movie. This was the one movie where I called in every single favor. So like I was like every department pretty much, almost every department, but I was calling in favors left and right. I can only make this movie once. Like once you call in the favors, they're called in. You can't just keep calling in the favors. But all that was to say, we did the casting ourselves, and we had like 2 days of casting at some like rented studio in Hollywood. I think we had put out like probably like a backstage or like Craigslist, anywhere we could post it. And this guy, Jim, who plays Electro, who is also based on a real person named Electro, because that name was too good. I couldn't I
It's a
couldn't think
great
of
name.
anything better. I mean, I'm like, it's Electro. Rest in peace. So yeah, Jim was just like from the casting call, and he was just like this random non-union actor. I think he worked for free. He was just like such a kind gentleman. Just loved him. You just when you're casting stuff, I love casting because it's like real crazy. But when you're casting, you just kind of when they walk in the room, like if there's something there, and you have to see a lot of people. Um, so about I'd say like maybe I don't know, a handful of people were random people that we cast from not knowing them at all, but then a lot of people we just knew. Like I put Chad as the mailman brother, and I honestly thought he did great. Chad Hartigan, filmmaker extraordinaire. Tara was, I just knew I needed to work with someone who I trusted, I loved, who trusted me, loved me. Like it just had to be, there had to be a level of trust to do this, to pull it off. Her husband, Sean, behind the camera, shot it for us, like you mentioned. And let's see, Harmar Superstar, he was an old friend from LA, like rock and roll scene. And really, I kind of, the Pete, the coffee shop guy, he was like literally the guy who worked at the coffee shop
Hmm.
in the street from me. Yeah, you just ask and you see what people say. Like, do you want to be in this movie? And it's
Well,
either you.
I think it says a lot about your taste that you pick people who just have a lot of screen presence. Because rewatching the movie again, it is such a breezy 77 minutes. It's so sweet and it's really funny. It's so irreverent. Uh, yeah, it's like hanging out with you for an hour and a half, frankly, which is
Oh,
probably
thank
why
you.
I enjoy it so much. So let's now talk about the passing of time. It's been like 12 years, and I keep talking about like the quaintness of it. Now that we have dispensary culture in California and New York, and that's not a thing that happens anymore of what happens to Ada, at least not in this particular role. But we're both older. You have a family now. What's your relationship now with the passing of time with this movie and weed?
Well, okay, first of all, I feel, this was my first movie that I wrote, directed, produced, lost my mind on. I'm so proud of it and I'm so honored that we're playing it at Cucalorus again. It feels very full circle. We're screening in the same room where it premiered, so that's just I am touched, honored, all the things, nostalgic. It's really going to be an amazing night. I can't wait. The room was standing room only at the premiere, okay? But please come and help us recreate that, anyone who is hearing this or seeing this. But yes, my relationship to weed, I'm sober now. Never thought I would say those words. Never thought I would say those words. So yeah, I guess I'm grown up and boring or something, or just yeah, I'm actually really happy.
People change, things change, time moves on.
But also, like, I love it for anyone that can like rage weed and alcohol. I want that for everyone who wants that so badly. I raged it too hard. Like I was raging since the time I was 14, and around the time I turned 40, I was like, I think the most radical thing I can do right now is to be the one who remembers everything instead of the one who blacks out everything. So, good times, great oldies, no regrets. But as far as like other this movie and like the what's been going on the last 12 years, um after this movie, I kind of like we took it around to festivals. It was awesome. Met a lot of people, had many great screenings, and a lot of encouragement from people to keep going and keep writing. People kept saying, "What are you doing next? What are you doing next?" And I'm like, "What do you mean next?" Like this movie broke me. But I do have I because of all of that positive encouragement, I ended up writing another screenplay that I feel so much more like that's a screenplay that I'm like, ooh, that's a fully realized vision. When I wrote Burnout, there's this saying, I'm sure you've heard it. There's the movie you write, and then the movie that you shoot, and then the movie that you end up with in the final edit. Um, this, yeah, this movie was not the movie I wrote. This is the movie that we made. And honestly, big shout out to Michelle Witten because she was the editor and she held my hand nights and weekends and we ate. I cooked her dinner and we would just edit. And I mean, this movie would not exist without Michelle Witten. She's a brilliant editor. Um, and yeah, so yeah, I have two other screenplays that I've written in the last 12 years. They're much more fully formed stories, and much more like emotional, sensitive subject matter, like more personal. The older I get and the more sober I get, the more into like healing my childhood trauma I am. You're writing.
Dig it.
Yes. Yes.
Dig it. Well, if you show up at Django's on Friday, August 15th at 7:30 p.m., Lydia will be there. Maybe she'll tell you about those screenplays. Maybe she won't. I guess you'll just have to come and find out. But she'll be there. I'll be there. We'll all be there. Why aren't you there? Lydia, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Burnout.
This was so fun. We could just talk all day, but
We
we'll
could.
save it for the 15th.